Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next episode in Where My Dawgs At. We are here with Matthew Sedowski. Hello, Matt. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. It's so great to have you on. You were mentioned in one of our previous episodes by Tyler Ehrlich. He brought you up, so I was really excited that you were able to come on our show today.
Great. I love Tyler and love UGA, so it's a thrill to be here.
Oh yes, definitely. So let's just jump right into it. When did you attend the University of Georgia?
I was a student there from fall of 2015 through spring of 2018. So um, I came from Ithaca, New York, most recently before that. Originally, I'm from Michigan. So yeah, 3 glorious years at UGA.
Great. And what degree did you earn?
I got the DMA in conducting with Cindy Johnston
DMA.
Turner as my primary teacher.
All right. Yes, yes, yes. So you're DMA conducting student. You were, I am currently. So I take that you were participating in all of the ensembles in some way or another.
Yeah, in some way and at some point or another, we would split up the groups between us each semester. So each one of us would TA either, the wind symphony or the symphonic band or wind ensemble. And then we also would team conduct U band, concert band, got to conduct with Rotehund, was a TA with the Redcoat band, even got to conduct a little bit with the Golden Age band that we did. Which is like a period band from like the late 1800s, like 1880s, 1890s era. And a couple other small student ensembles, conducted in a few recitals, just so many groups, so many sizes, so many genres. Yeah, lots to count.
That's great. That's great. That's great. So we tell us, what are you doing now?
So now I am following my time at UC Berkeley. I'm in my third year as the director of bands at UC Berkeley in Berkeley, California. And um, certainly this year has been very different and unusual with the COVID-19 pandemic, but overall, I'm really enjoying it. It's just a fantastic place to be. My students are wonderful. I have great colleagues, great alumni, great supporters, and my job at UC Berkeley is to conduct both the Cal Band, or the University of California Marching Band, but we call it the Cal Band, and the UC Berkeley Wind Ensemble. So one concert ensemble in the fall, and then we actually have two wind ensembles in the spring. And then in the fall, I also do the Cal Band. So that band is about 220 students. It is unique in that it is primarily student run. So what that means is I'm the only paid employee. There are no assistants, there are no TAs, there's no staff. It's me and 5 students who make up what is called the executive committee, and then a number of committees beneath them that they run and administer. And you put that all together, and we run a marching band. We run a Pac-12 Division I marching band, and I always consider it a compliment when people are surprised when they see the band and they hear them play and watch them march. And then they're always surprised to hear that this is a student run band. They always are surprised to hear that. And I take that as a compliment for the students, because it means that, they assume that what they're seeing has to have been put together by an adult. But in fact, the students do it all. I mean, they write the shows, they do our drill, our charting, as we call it. They arrange a lot of the music. We have some alumni and myself arrange a few shows too, but 2 shows each year they arrange entirely on their own. It's really it's a very musically satisfying gig, because I get to do both concert music, sort of the I guess you might say, for lack of a better word, more artsy fartsy stuff, and then you get to do the vernacular music with the Cal Band, and you get to teach them how to conduct, because they need to be able to conduct each other.
Mhm.
You have students who come from all different departments and all different degree paths to play in the wind ensemble and the band, and it's just a really incredible uh, entity where music, but also self-government, leadership, school spirit and pride all kind of come together in this really positive way. So I'm really enjoying it.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And really great things too. So did you create the leadership program there, or was it kind of in place when you got there? How did you all establish yourselves with the student run or with the student run marching band?
It's a great question, and the answer is that it has been like this for many decades, actually. In fact, it's been largely student run and initiated for over a century. The band started in the early 1890s, and for a while it sort of oscillated between a few different entities on campus, notably the ASUC, which is the Associated Students, which is kind of our student government for the whole university, would sponsor them. It was sponsored by the ROTC at one point. And then finally in 1930, the university agreed to hire and pay a director for the band. And closer to following the end of World War II, particularly, Cal and Ohio State played each other in the Rose Bowl in 1950 or 51. I think it's 1950. And the Ohio State band outmarched, outplayed, outclassed in every way the current existing Cal band. And the Cal fans loved the Cal band, but they looked at the Ohio State band and said, "You've got some big shoes to fill because we
Right.
want something like that." And so they put it together. They got the tapes of the Ohio State band. They learned the different steps. They looked at many other bands around the country, and they really sort of built themselves up over decades. So, it's common out here. You will meet alumni of all different ages, all different eras, and they'll be able to say, yes, I was senior manager back in, 62, or I was executive secretary in 89 or something like that. It's really a system that has developed over many decades. It's very sophisticated. It has its own culture. It's a lot of cultural capital. And it's just built up into this very ornate but robust entity and organization. And we really depend on and appreciate the help that we get from our alumni, because they give back once they get out, not just in financial support, but also in their time and their expertise. They put on a training workshop each year. They're always there to talk to the current students if they need a second or third or fourth opinion on something, or they just need help handling something. They're always there. So it really is a family, and it is a family that is just really very beautiful and exciting to be a part of. I feel very privileged.
Wow, that's a lot. So how do you take something like that, which is so rich in history and so rich in tradition, and kind of keep it, for lack of a better phrase, keep it current, but also as a fairly new director, how do you put your own stamp on it without alienating alumni, without changing tradition, and how do you find that balance?
Oh man. um, yeah, well, when you come into a program, and this is something that I learned when I was a undergraduate at Michigan State. Well, I didn't learn this, but it was put into words for me in a way that I like, and I still use this metaphor. When you come into a program like a band program, whether it's middle school, high school, college, whatever, you're really coming into somebody else's living room. You're
Mhm.
not going to really be able to call it your home until a full cycle at least of students have gone through. So you come in the first year and you just do a lot of watching and a lot of listening and a lot of paying attention, a lot of learning, a lot of talking, but then listening to people. And if you're in somebody's living room and it's going to be yours eventually, maybe you put out a few different knickknacks on the coffee table and you swap out a picture on the wall. But other than that, you just watch and you listen, especially if things seem to be running smoothly. And they do, and they did. And so my job, really, I consider the first couple of years, and I'm still kind of in this phase now, although now I've been able to put down like maybe different carpet one year and then another couch the other year. It'll slowly and eventually become mine. But I feel like my perspective is very welcomed, because the previous directors, since 1930, there have been four of them. I am the fifth. And all four of them were alumni of the university and marched in the band themselves. In fact, three of them were drum majors.
Oh wow.
And the band loves that. They appreciate that very much. But one thing that sort of came out with my interview that I was confirmed later was that while they very much enjoyed that, they felt as though it was time for an outsider
Mhm.
to come in and just sort of provide their perspective. And so um, my outsider perspective is that they have a very well functioning organization here. I can come in with some knowledge from other programs, working with the UGA Redcoat Band, being around a lot of Division I programs. I sort of have an idea of, what's current, where things are going, what the tools are,
Mhm.
and what I hope will be my twist, or my I guess, contribution, is just to really empower the students, to really help them tackle the jobs that they have put in front of them. It's not easy to write 7 halftime shows and teach them and learn them in a year,
No.
and to plan, all that music, and to make sure throughout the spring. I mean, we talk about, throughout the student leadership serves on the calendar year. So they are elected at the end of the season in December.
Mhm.
They take over in January, and they immediately begin planning for the fall, and then they execute the fall.
Mhm.
And so all throughout the spring, we have many workshops. I've started a workshop called Stunt Lab. Our stunt committee is who actually charts our shows. And so we try to bring in people from other groups, not to try to become something, but just to take the best of, the traditional band world, the marching arts. I would love to get somebody from an HBCU band, just to kind of take the best elements and not replicate them necessarily, although maybe, but just to learn how really good bands of many different styles, and there are many different styles, function, and what that means for us, and what, the ideas that it prompts, and get them that exposure, get them that connection, connect them with other universities, and just help them be not just professionals within the Cal Band, but also among the marching band universe. And we talk about, if you're going to arrange music, you have to make sure that, think about the season ticket holders. They range in age from 20s up until 80s, and
Mhm.
some above that. So
Right.
sure that they hear something that they're going to recognize. We need to have music that is this or that. We can't have a show with 5 awesome songs, but the tempo for every single one of them is 104. You've got to get some mix in there. So we
Right.
talk
Yeah.
about everything that a band director does: programming, teaching, directing. We talk about rehearsal strategies. You're really teaching leadership,
Mhm.
and handing over the reins fully. No knocks against any of the programs, but in a lot of programs, there's a person standing nearby to sort of take the reins in case things go bad.
Mhm.
We don't have that in the Cal Band. It's me. So, if the musical activities committee doesn't book the hotel rooms or plan the flights, we don't go to the away game. If
Wow.
they don't order the food and arrange to have it delivered, we don't have a banquet. So it's really kind of no net leadership training. And
Mhm.
again, the way it works is just that it's built up very well over the years. But every year you get thrown curveballs, things change, prices
Right.
go up, or facilities change hands of management or whatever, and you have to deal with these things. And you're really helping the students appreciate all of that. um, I'll add very briefly that Cal has a relatively smaller music department. We grant a BA in music, so we're not doing music performance or music education degrees. We don't have those
Okay.
at the bachelor level. At the doctorate level, we have musicology and composition are really what Cal's music department is known for. So I'll be the first to say that while this model has many positive aspects
Mhm.
and things that I think a lot of bands could learn and take from it, in totality, I'm not sure that this model would be entirely appropriate as it exists for a school where you're training music educators. I think you need to have a little bit more academic teaching going on there, because those students are going to go into teaching marching band as a profession. Not that you can't learn those things at Cal, but because, it's just a different animal entirely. So we're sort of unique by design, unique by circumstance. But is there music education going on? Is there real world training going on? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one of the things I love about my job, both the Cal Band and the Wind Ensemble, is that, I get the opportunity to work with students from all different disciplines, including STEM majors, you name it, and sort of build within them this respect for what it takes to put music together, so that hopefully when they go out and become movers and shakers, you'll help fund that community theater. You'll make sure that, if your kid is in band and they need money to go on a field trip, you'll step up and pay for your kid, but if you can, maybe, you know, half of another kid's way to get there
Yeah.
who's not able to do that. So just really help people appreciate that, you know, the arts require patronage, and patronage is something that you do when you've benefited from it yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. Like, you know, from someone who has been both in a chorus style band and a traditional marching band, because, you know, my undergrad was Hampton University. So I marched in the HBCU band, and really,
Yeah.
as a high school band director, I love mixing the two worlds together. I would tell my students, my job is to prepare you for life after me. So, you know, we're going to do, you know, while our basis may be, you know, HBCU style, we're going to mix in some core style elements so that you can go wherever you want to go and be successful. So, you know, I like how you're doing, you know, pulling from different things with your with the cow band. It sounds good.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. And you know, I remember, I mean, I still remember when Southern University came, the
Oh,
human
yeah.
jukebox to UGA. You
Southern.
know, I mean, totally different styles, but it's just talk about an experience, you
Oh
know.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
mean, there's a lot. You'd be surprised, you know. I think it's the distance. We don't really have a lot of those near in the Bay Area geographically to us, but there's a lot of interest in that. And
mhm.
so
There.
I'm sort of enjoying, you know, maybe trying to help create some kind of bridge with us, just to see what we can come up
Oh
with.
yeah,
So,
and Southern is just fun to watch.
oh yeah.
I'm I'm a fan of Southern. Like, you know, they're
Oh
just fun
yeah.
to watch.
I love the flamboyance and everything like that. You know, Cal prides itself on the fact that they high step everything. Everything's a high step. So,
Right.
you know, they kind of have that little piece there already. So
That's
yeah.
good. That's good. They on the right track. Um, so kind of getting back, we got way off of our interview questions, but it's fine. It's okay. You know. But do you think that? Well, not do you think? How? In what ways do you believe that the Hugh Hodgson School of Music prepared you for what you're doing now?
Oh, so many ways. I mean, really, you never know what piece of your education you're going to use the most until you get out and get into a position and
Yeah.
learn about it. The thing that I find myself calling on the most are, you know, leadership, and not just leadership, but also, you know, presentation skills, public speaking,
Mhm.
the ability to sort of, you know, fill a space. You know, if you've got 30 people in front of you, to speak about and in ways that command attention, that, you know, get people excited, that draw them in, or at least keep their attention.
Yeah.
That's an underrated skill, and if you can do that, you can talk about almost anything. As long as you're keeping their attention, they're gonna want to support whatever it is that you're working towards. As far as working with students directly, I mean, you know, the leadership has been excellent, and something I appreciate a lot, appreciated a lot about UGA at the time, and now appreciate even more, is just the independence that I was given.
Mhm.
You know, Cindy and Jackie and Brett and the whole host, Mike Robinson, you know, they were always there for when I needed to talk to them, but I was never, you know, I never felt encroached on, or, you know, put in your place, so to speak. And, you know, not
Mhm.
that they're looking to do those things, but sometimes even the most well-intentioned teachers have a, you know, and I struggle with this too sometimes, as I'm sure everybody does, is, you know, at what point do you sort of let the student find their own way versus
Yeah.
intervene to try to get it, you know, back on track, or whatever
Mhm.
you consider to be track. And I always felt like the, you know, the independence and the ability to grow, but then also, you know, come and talk about it, and sort of reflect and review and get, you know, feedback on all different ends, both, you know, before, after each rehearsal, each concert cycle, in the middle of it if I needed it. It just really, you know, gave me the confidence that, you know, there's many different ways to do this, and this is the way that I'm developing. And, you know, I'm developing it hopefully in a way that, you know, seems to be successful, and it did. And you add tricks to your toolkit and everything. So just that, I mean, on a strictly musical level, just the caliber of the musicians at Hudson. I mean, talk about great players, talk about fantastic ensembles, and not just good ones, but lots of them. You know, and in addition to players, you've got vocalists. You know, I conducted some opera. in a couple of workshops, nothing public, but a few choral opportunities. Was able to conduct string players. I was able to take studio classes with not just, Cindy as my primary teacher, but the director of orchestras, the director of choirs, all of these incredible, teachers who are masters at their craft in very distinct genres of music, music history. I mean, I really find myself drawing more and more on history and making comparisons to what I see, because, Cal is obviously, Berkeley is known as a very progressive place, and it is. And yet, in some ways, I find that the campus is a very small C conservative place to be, because they're very proud of their history. Even we're going to come up here in 2 years. We're going to have the celebration of 50th anniversary of women being permitted in the Cal band. So that's an ugly piece of history, but it's also one that they're very proud of, and understandably so. So it's, how do you maintain that tradition while it's, if the band is a tree, in order to grow the roots, you have to grow more leaves, right?
Yeah.
And vice versa. So, and at UGA, you saw a lot of that. Here's this fantastic Redcoat band that's been around for decades, and you're seeing how it fits into, modern situations and programming, different concert formats, having tweet seats during HWE concerts, having the HWE live hashtag, using mixed media, with projected images or alternative setups, or, geographic changes within the concert hall, all things like that. So the experimentation, and sort of the deference to, it just feels like the program at UGA, not just the band program, but the whole school in general, has a very keen eye on where we're going, but also where we've come from,
Yeah.
and where we are now. And that perspective is just, that panoramic perspective has just been very helpful.
Yeah, that's great. Good stuff, man. Even though this is still my first semester, and due to COVID, I haven't had, well, first year, second semester now, but
Yeah.
but due to COVID, we haven't had a lot of ensemble time, because we've been doing some alternative things, a lot of virtual things, some limited, very very limited things. But I can really say that I have enjoyed being here so far, and I will echo your sentiments that the musicianship here is second to none. Like, they're great players. It's like, oh, okay, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, this is great times. But do you have one moment that kind of sticks out to you? That's like your funniest moment, or like your best moment from UGA?
Funniest moment or best moment at UGA? Wow. I mean, there are so many. um, I mean, I will say that I think probably the most enjoyable memories were actually not at UGA. They were probably during, the Midwest clinic up
Oh
in
yeah,
up in Chicago, because, it starts many days earlier for the TAs. You got to get everything packed up. You get the van, you put it all in there, and you drive all the way up to Chicago and get it all set up. And then, it's just fascinating to stand there in that booth and talk to all of the faculty that come to visit, all of the alumni that come to visit, the sort of the camaraderie of, being in the van with the other TAs, and, being in the hotel and just kind of taking care of business while still having fun, and just
yeah.
networking like crazy. That stands out to me as a lot of fun. I loved JanFest and MidFest.
Mhm.
Those are such fun events, and it's so inspiring to see the hundreds, I mean, over 1,000 students that come for both of those
Yeah,
events every year, and meet the directors. So, you're getting to meet teachers and educators, middle school level, high school level, from all across the state of Georgia.
mhm.
You're not just in this, I mean, most of the year, yeah, you're in Athens, but, twice a year, a sizable chunk of the state comes to you, and you get to meet and network people and talk with them and learn, how band works in Georgia, because it's different the way that band works in Tennessee or Washington or Michigan or Texas, and so you get that perspective, and you learn how to do all those things. I'm trying to think of any particular moments. I mean, there were a lot of moments on the podium where, like you say, about the caliber of players. I mean, there were some times where you'd work really hard to like plan this rehearsal and like, okay, we need to get all of these things together. And I'm going to step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. And then you just, okay, brass, can I hear you right here? And then they play it one time and you go, that was good. So what do you do now? You're still up there. You're holding the
Right.
baton. It's like, you got 20 more minutes. What do you do? And there were a couple moments like that, particularly towards the beginning, where it's like, okay, I mean, it's a real challenge to you and your ears. They did it. What's the next step? Oh, well, I didn't think they could do that. So does that mean that I have a trust issue, or are they just better than I think? What's going on here? And it causes you to really grow and learn in those moments. So
Oh
I
yeah.
would say probably those stand out to me as the most personal growth. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, definitely. So we're nearing the end of our-
Actually, so one of the funnest moments too, a singular moment, was I would, for one of the years, I would conduct on the ladder this was back when the stadium before it was remodeled. So they ran out of the east side end zone from under the bleachers. And so beforehand, they'd put a ladder in place. They'd get like a big props person to stand behind it and block me. But basically, I would be standing on a ladder 10 feet in the air, right next to the goalpost. There's all this smoke and fog from all those fog machines. And the entire football team is just running out on either side of you as you're conducting the band through the end of pregame, and they're running out through the players. And it's insane because there's always a photographer that tries to get the good shot and gets trampled. And I mean, it's 93,000 people are yelling and screaming around you, and you're just trying to like hear the beat and conduct to it. Everything's going insane around you. It's just, that's a lot of fun. You'll never forget that.
You want to find this interesting? So Evan had the same memory.
It stands out.
That's why I was really laughing because Evan was talking about that. That was his funniest moment. He's like, oh.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing that you all have the same funniest memory.
Yeah. Funniest / traumatizing. I don't know. I mean, I would do it again if I given the opportunity.
Definitely something for me to look forward to, post-COVID.
Yes.
So we're near the end of our interview, and it's been a great time together. But one final question: if you had any words of wisdom for current or future UGA students, what would it be?
Just take advantage of the time and take advantage of the connections. You don't have to be around that building every hour of every day, but try to be around as much as you can when you can. You know, the fact is, unless you go on to work at a school like UGA, which you might eventually, there are not a lot of places like UGA. It's a very special place, and you're certainly gonna all hopefully work with great colleagues, great students. But if I stay at Cal, nothing against Cal, it's just fundamentally different. But if I do, then that means I probably won't be around the sheer volume of the absolutely high caliber players that I ever will be again. And not just professionally, but also socially, it's very conducive to just, making friends and making connections. These are going to be your colleagues one day. And, now that I'm out, I've undertaken a few professional endeavors with people that I met at Georgia when we were students. So you will be working with these people one day. You might be eventually on, some board of executives or some project or presentation at a conference. And just take advantage of the people there, because once you get out, if I want to be around people like that now, I have to put forth much more effort. And just having it served up on a silver platter for you. Here's this place that you can come every day and just watch and learn and grow. Go watch other rehearsals. Go watch Phil Smith rehearse the British brass band. Go watch Dan Barra conduct Hodson Singers. Just go watch these groups and take notes and learn and ask questions. And it was true of the teachers at Georgia, and it's true of me now. I love students who come into my office and ask, so how did you do this? Or like, so what did you do to get that? I love those questions. I love explaining it. I love, outlining it. And I love hearing the students too, what would you have done? Oh, that's interesting. Maybe I'll try that next time. And just let them see that, you're still a learner too. You sort of establish your life as a, lifelong learner in a place like UGA. So take advantage.
Yeah, good words of wisdom. Oh man,
Thank you.
seems like it's good. A lot of good knowledge, a lot of good wisdom, and sounds like you had an incredible time at UGA, and you're doing great things at UC Berkeley. And, as the UGA, we are proud of our alumni, and we're proud of the great things that you're doing, which is kind of what sparked this whole idea of spotlighting alumni. So
Yeah.
thank you for joining us. We encourage everyone to follow us on YouTube and on the UGA Wins Bands page. Please go ahead and check us out. Peruse our website, uga.bands.edu. And always, go dogs. Thank you very much. And please stay tuned for our alma mater.